News 9 Plus for the Genflix.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Top Stories from our studios here in the National Capital Region. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Thanks for tuning into News 9 Live. Like every day and all the time, we have an expansive list of stories for you to cover. We will be touching upon the 73rd day of the West Asian conflict between Israel and Hamas, nearly 100 killed in the last 24 hours alone. But more so over, we will also going to be touching upon the various presidential elections that are taking place from Serbia to the United States. So why is Trump still in the lead even after so many trials and tribulations? That's going to be our focus as well. In Australia, after that particular cyclone Jasper, the aftermath, we're going to take you across those visuals as well, even as China is thinking about reopening schools amid a very hefty winter. But first and foremost, let's take a look at some domestic developments back at home and cutting across to Tamil Nadu first, where heavy rainfall lashed southern parts of Tamil Nadu, even as the government declared a holiday for all the schools, colleges and the banks. Some of those starking visuals that we'll put out for you. The four districts of Tirunelveli, Thoothukudi, Kanyakumari and Tenkasi bore the brunt of the heavy rains. The Indian Met Department has issued a heavy rain alert for the state for the next 7 days on end. The Kotralam waterfall was in its full splendor due to the incessant heavy rainfall in Tenkasi district. Tiruchendur and Satankolam stations in Thoothukudi district recorded 606 millimeter of rainfall in the past 24 hours alone. In Palayamakotai, the entire station located in Tirunelveli recorded about 260 millimeters of rainfall in the last 24 hours. The I.N.D.I.A had declared a red alert over a few places in Madurai, Virudhunagar and Theni districts as well. Meanwhile, an orange alert has been issued by the weather agency over isolated places in Thoothukudi, Dindigul, Coimbatore and Tirupur districts.
Very heavy rains are being felt across the southern part of Tamil Nadu, especially in Kanyakumari, Thoothukudi, Tirunelveli, Tenkasi. A red alert is declared for parts of Madurai and Virudhunagar. A very heavy spate of rainfall. At this point of time, we have advised our BJP cadres, functionaries to actively involve themselves in the rescue work because many parts are flooded right up to the ground floor, especially in Tirunelveli and Kanyakumari. And our cadres and leaders, right from yesterday, they opened the Modi kitchens, which is operational. The focus right now is to distribute food, very hot food across parts of the town which needs food on an immediate basis. Starting from tomorrow, once the rain starts abating down, we will focus more on the rescue and rehabilitation work. The Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu, today morning, he has spoken to the press and he has said that they have sought the help of all the tri-forces of Government of India. They have also sought the help of helicopters from Sulur Air Base to distribute foods. So as we do them today, we will start focusing more from the party side also on the relief and rehabilitation measures in these four districts. At the same time, I urge our fishermen friends in the coastal, since all districts are in the coastal areas, not to venture into the sea and pay heed to the advice of the state government and central government at this point of time.
Moving on, the N.I.A. has undertaken extensive raids at over 20 locations in Bengaluru. Take a look at this. This operation is particularly in response to the intelligence indicating that miscreants were plotting terrorist activities and engaging in anti-national endeavors. The N.I.A.'s searches, they cover all divisions of Bengaluru city with a particular focus on areas where the Social Democratic Party of India, the SDPI, has a significant presence. The ongoing searches are concentrated in key neighborhoods including Shivaji Nagar, Halosuru, Fraser Town and Pulkeshi Nagar. And take a look at this. The meeting of the I.N.D.I.A, the opposition India Bloc party leaders, is going to take place on Tuesday and is likely to focus on the seat sharing in the key states, with some leaders pushing for an agreement before the 31st of December and on redrawing the joint strategy to take on the Bharatiya Janata Party after the recent reverses for the Congress in the assembly polls, namely for that in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. Now, the key challenge before the leaders of various opposition parties who have come together to fight the BJP unitedly in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections is also going to come up with an alternative common program as a counter to the BJP's public schemes.
अगर किसी में इंडी गठबंधन में हिम्मत है तो एक व्यक्ति जाके नरेंद्र मोदी से बनारस लड़ ले, चुनाव में नीतीश कुमार हो या आरजेडी का कोई हो। अरे ये सब आईवास है, अपने स्वार्थों के लिए जा रहा है, अपने गुनाहों को छिपाने के लिए गठबंधन कर रहा है। किसी में हिम्मत नहीं, अगर हिम्मत है तो चुनौती दे रहा हूं, नीतीश कुमार जाके लड़ ले बनारस।
Well, so what's it going to be? The floor leaders, the party leaders of the I.N.D.I.A bloc are going to meet tomorrow. The I.N.D.I.A opposition bloc meeting likely to take place, talks over seat sharing. And that's not all that the Congress is trying to do, because in a strategic move and ahead of the Lok Sabha 2024 elections, the Congress has launched a nationwide crowdfunding campaign titled Donate for Desh, a campaign that aims to generate resources for the party. Now, Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge officially inaugurated the digital phase with the physical campaign, including door-to-door connections, which will commence on the 28th of this month. The Congress treasurer has asked Indian citizens aged 18 and above to contribute a minimum of rupees 138 or its multiples.
Okay. Thank you. आज बड़ा एक खुशी का दिन है कि हमारे पार्टी के सभी नेताओं ने मिलकर एक ऐप तैयार किया है, और ये मैं समझूंगा ये पहली बार है कि कांग्रेस पार्टी में लोगों से यानी आम जनता से मदद लेकर देश को बनाने के लिए ये किया है, जिसको डोनेट फॉर देश कंट्री, और हम अगर कहें तो देनी देश के लिए डोनेशन, ये सब देश के बनाने में हमको मदद होता है। और छोटे छोटे डोनर्स के पास हम अपना डोनेशन लेके देश को बना सकते हैं, क्योंकि सिर्फ अमीरों के ऊपर ही अगर आप भरोसा करके काम करते जाएंगे तो ये कल के दिन उनके कार्यक्रम को और उनके पॉलिसीज़ को हमको मानना पड़ता है। जब देश के सारे लोग इसमें इन्वॉल्व हो गए तो ये हमको सबकी, जो पहले से ही हमारी पार्टी गरीबों के और जो बैकवर्ड्स है, शेड्यूल कास्ट है, माइनॉरिटीज़ है, और कोई भी कास्ट का हो, अपर कास्ट हो, गरीब है, वो ऐसे ही लोग पहले से हमको मदद करते हुए आए हैं। और इसी ढंग से महात्मा गांधी जी भी सब लोगों से डोनेशन लेकर ही देश को आज़ाद कराया है।
Well, now to facilitate donations, the party allows contributions through its official website and has also established a dedicated website for the same. State units have been asked with raising awareness through press conferences and social media, while party workers and volunteers aim to reach at least 10 houses in every booth for contributions. The party also claims of drawing inspiration for the crowdfunding campaign Donate for Desh from Mahatma Gandhi's historic Tilak Swaraj Fund that was initiated over a century ago back in the year 1920. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the newly constructed Swarvaved Mandir in Umraha in Varanasi. He was accompanied by Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath as well. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the second edition of the Kashi Tamil Sangamam at Namo Ghat in Varanasi. Additionally, he flagged off the Kashi Tamil Sangamam Express connecting Varanasi and Kanyakumari as well.
आपको याद होगा 2 वर्ष पहले इसी तरह हम अखिल भारतीय विहंगम योग संस्थान के वार्षिकोत्सव में एकत्र हुए थे। एक बार फिर मुझे विहंगम योग संत समाज के शताब्दी समारोह के ऐतिहासिक कार्यक्रम में आने का अवसर मिला है। विहंगम योग साधना की ये यात्रा 100 वर्षों की अपनी अविस्मरणीय यात्रा पूरी की है। पिछली सदी में ज्ञान और योग की दिव्य ज्योति प्रज्वलित की थी। इन 100 वर्षों की यात्रा में इस दिव्य ज्योति ने देश दुनिया के लाखों करोड़ों लोगों के जीवन को परिवर्तित किया है। इस पुण्य अवसर पर यहां 25,000 कुंडीय स्वरवेद ज्ञान महायज्ञ का आयोजन भी हो रहा है। मुझे खुशी है, मुझे विश्वास है, इस महायज्ञ की हर एक आहुति से विकसित भारत का संकल्प और सशक्त होगा।
Dateline Ayodhya, ladies and gentlemen, all eyes, all expectations, all enthusiasm and excitement all towards the 22nd of January when the inauguration of the Ram temple is going to take place. Meanwhile, Ayodhya is being adorned with festive colors, lights, embellishments, you name it, all in the lead up to the Pran Pratishtha ceremony and the inauguration of the Ram temple. Take a look at this. The entrance gate of the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi and the Janmabhoomi Path is nearing completion, with finishing touches being meticulously applied. Meanwhile, amid the bustling preparations, the Dashrath Mahal temple continues to attract devotees, creating a vibrant atmosphere all around Ayodhya. This is the main temple dwar that is being created. Meanwhile, what you're looking at is a grand procession featuring an idol of Lord Ram, accompanied by musical instruments. All of this was being undertaken with great splendor from the Dashrath Mahal temple in Ayodhya itself. The splendor, the fervor, the enthusiasm, all amongst the devotees, and it reflects the profound significance of this upcoming event, 22nd of January, inauguration of the Ram temple, the Pran Pratishtha ceremony, preparations in full swing. Meanwhile, whilst all of this is happening in Ayodhya, take a look what's happening in Chandigarh. In Chandigarh, the Nihang Sikhs have announced their plans to organize a langar in Ayodhya during the inauguration of the Ram temple, underlying the spirit of communal harmony and inclusivity. And that's not all. As the inauguration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya approaches, symbols of Lord Ram, including the Akshat, an image, all of them, they've arrived in the city of Chandigarh, adding to the anticipation and excitement around this historic moment.
को ध्वस्त किया। सोमनाथ, काशी, मथुरा
It's interesting because News 9 is going to bring you inputs from various parts of the country. Coming on the other side of this short break that we're taking, we'll tell you how Gujarat is preparing for the upcoming Jan 22 ceremony in Ayodhya. It is going to be historic. Meanwhile, we're going to slip into a quick break here. Take a look at this promo and we'll be back for more.
तो जब हम करेंगे तो पता लग ही जाएगा। सलमान खान का करेंगे, मारेंगे ही, जोधपुर में मारेंगे तो पता लग जाएगा।
This is someone who is sitting inside our jails and is still very obviously and openly running and possibly the largest organized criminal operation in the country.
स्टूडेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी में सोपू का एक्टिंग प्रेसिडेंट टाइप भी रहा है.
He was a troublemaker, getting into fights with people, not coming to the class.
As on gate, it appears that Lawrence gang is the most important, the prominent gang. Gangs here in Punjab, they are intimidated.
Today he is India's most dangerous gangster, and India's presence are apparently no bar to how Bishnoi runs India's largest criminal empire.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve. Welcome back. You're watching News 9 Live. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in the Vikasit Bharat Sankalp Yatra in Sevapuri, a rural area of his parliamentary constituency, Varanasi. Let's take a look at the interaction between the Prime Minister and the people of his constituency.
चंदा देवी जी, आपकी पढ़ाई क्या हुई है?
सर इंटर पास।
तो आप इतना बढ़िया भाषण करती हैं।
जी सर।
तो कभी चुनाव लड़ी हो क्या?
नहीं सर।
तो लड़ोगी?
नहीं सर, ये सर आपसे हम इंस्पायर होते हैं सर। आप जो प्रयास करते हैं सर, हम उनसे अपना कदम मिलाकर चलते हैं। इस वजह से जो हम आज हासिल कर पाए हैं सर, ये हमारा सौभाग्य है कि हम आपके सामने उपस्थित हैं सर, और आपके सामने दो बातें बोल रहे हैं सर। ये हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी गर्व की बात है।
अरे सब महिलाएं तालियां बजाएगी। अच्छा चंदा देवी जी, बच्चे क्या पढ़ते हैं?
सर अभी मेरी बिटिया कक्षा 7वीं में है सर, और हमारा बेटा अभी कक्षा 3 में है सर।
क्या सोचा है, बच्चों को क्या पढ़ाओगे?
सर अगर हमारी आर्थिक स्थिति अच्छी रही तो हम उनको बहुत अच्छे से अच्छे कॉलेज में डालना चाहते हैं और उनकी पढ़ाई पूरी करवाना चाहते हैं।
और अभी अच्छा पढ़ते हैं कि ऐसे ही?
नहीं सर, पढ़ते हैं सर।
वरना माँ सखी मंडल चलाती हैं, वो सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप में काम कर रही है, वो बैंक सखी बन गई है।
सब कुछ देखते हुए करते हैं सर। अपने बच्चों का भी ध्यान रखते हैं, अपने परिवार का भी ध्यान रखते हैं सर, अपनी मम्मी जी का भी साथ रखते हैं, ध्यान रखते हैं, और साथ साथ अपनी सर गांव की महिलाओं का भी ध्यान रखते हुए हमारा जो कर्तव्य है हम उसको पूरा करते हैं सर।
अच्छा, आप लखपति दीदी बन गई?
जी सर।
अब मेरा सपना है,
जी सर,
और मैं यहाँ जो बहनें बैठी हैं उनको भी बताना चाहता हूँ।
जी सर।
मेरा संकल्प है कि मैं देश में गांवों में,
जी सर,
आप जैसे परिवार की जो माताएं बहनें हैं, इस देश में 2 करोड़,
जी सर,
2 करोड़ माताओं बहनों को मुझे लखपति बनाना है। तो आपकी बात जब सुनेंगे ना, तो लोगों को विश्वास हो जाएगा कि हाँ, लखपति दीदी बन सकते हैं।
सर ये कहने की बात नहीं है, हम लोग बोल नहीं पाते हैं। हमारी तरह बहुत सारी दीदियां हैं सर जो समूह के माध्यम से जुड़कर आत्मनिर्भर बनी है और लखपति दीदी बनी है सर। यहाँ बोलने को हर किसी को मौका नहीं मिलता सर, ये हमारा
कितनी बहनें हैं जो लखपति दीदी बनी होगी यहाँ?
सर हमारे गांव में कम से कम हर समूह से 2-4 महिलाएं तो बनी गई हैं।
2-3 महिलाएं बन गई?
जी सर।
अच्छा, आपके समूह को मैं एक काम बताता हूँ, कर सकते हैं क्या?
बताइए सर, प्रयास करेंगे पूरी तरह।
देखिए, हमारे देश में
जी सर
आजकल शादी ब्याह होते हैं।
जी सर।
तो वो खड़े खड़े खाने का रिवाज शुरू हो गया अब।
जी सर।
तो लोगों को लगता है कि दोबारा मिलेगा ना, इसलिए थाली भर देते हैं।
जी सर।
और फिर आधा छोड़ देते हैं, तो खाना बर्बाद हो जाता
जी
है।
सर।
किसी के घर में जन्मदिन है तो भी खाना बर्बाद हो जाता है। अगर आपके सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप की बहनें,
जी सर,
उनको परोसना कैसे उसके ट्रेनिंग हो जाए,
जी सर,
उनके अच्छे कपड़े हो जाएं, फिर वो हाथ में मोजे वोजे पहन करके, दस्तक पहन करके परोसने के लिए जाएं ऐसे लोगों में,
जी सर,
तो खाना तो बचेगा ही बचेगा।
जी सर।
जो लोग आते हैं उनको भी अच्छी सर्विस मिल जाएगी।
जी सर।
आपकी बहनों को कमाई हो जाएगी।
जी सर।
और जब भोजन समारोह में जाते हैं तो घर जाते समय वो भी कहेंगे नहीं नहीं भाई आप भी बच्चों के लिए थोड़ा ले जाइए।
जी सर।
तो घर में न्यूट्रिशन का प्रॉब्लम भी सॉल्व हो जाएगा।
जी सर।
तो मैं समझता हूँ एक ऐसा काम है कि जो लोग खाना खराब करते हैं,
जी सर।
फेंक देते हैं, अगर परोसने की व्यवस्था नियम से बन जाए तो बहुत कुछ बच सकता है। तो ऐसा काम कर सकते हैं आपकी बहनें?
कर सकती हैं सर।
तो सबको ट्रेन करोगी आप?
जी सर, बिल्कुल।
और मैं भी योगी जी को बताता हूँ कि ऐसे लोग जो अपना समारोह करें
जी सर।
तो आप जैसे लोगों को बुलाएं
जी
और
सर।
वो परोसना का काम संभाले।
जी सर।
अच्छा, आपके गांव में स्वच्छता का अभियान का कुछ सोचते हैं लोग?
जी सर, करते हैं सर। जगह जगह लगाए गए हैं, कूड़ा उसमें फेंकते हैं सर, फिर वहाँ से गाड़ी आती है, ग्राम पंचायत के जगह बनी है एक ठो, वहाँ पे ले जाते हैं सर।
नहीं, लेकिन उसमें तो कोई खाद बनाना, खेत में उपयोग करना, ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है क्या? ऐसा नहीं हो रहा?
शुरुआत हुई है सर, अभी
अच्छा।
थोड़ा समय लगेगा सर। किसी चीज की शुरुआत होती है सर तो उसको बनने में थोड़ा समय लगता है, फिर अभी तो शुरुआत हुई है सर, धीरे धीरे हो जाएगा व्यवस्था उसकी।
अच्छा, यहाँ पशुपालन करते हैं आपके यहाँ?
जी सर।
तो मालूम है ये अमूल वाला डेयरी वाला दूध लेता है अभी, वो पैसे ज्यादा देता है, पता है? वो पता नहीं है। चलिए चंदा देवी, आपने बहुत अच्छा बता दिया, बहुत बहुत बधाई आपको।
जी सर।
Well, that was a candid conversation. Like the Prime Minister has been saying it time and again, it's not about women empowerment, but about women-led empowerment and development. All right, let's move on to our next segment. It's day 73 of the West Asian conflict between Israel and Hamas, the latest from the war front next. The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being. Israeli forces fighting Hamas in Gaza have claimed to have uncovered an unusually large concrete and iron-girded tunnel. This tunnel that they say is designed to carry carloads of terrorists from the Gaza Strip right up to the border point. Here's an entire report on what the IDF has unearthed. Take a look for a better understanding.
Israeli forces battling Hamas said they had uncovered an unusually large concrete and iron-girded tunnel at the Gaza-Israel border designed to transport carloads of militant fighters. Chief Israeli military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said the tunnel was 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles long, stretching from Gaza City, once the heart of Hamas governance and now a devastated combat zone, to the Erez crossing at the Israeli border.
Without demolishing the tunnel project of Hamas, we cannot demolish Hamas.
Razing or disabling hundreds of kilometers of underground passages and bunkers is among the aims of the Israeli offensive. The military showed reporters the exit point of the tunnel, located just 100 meters south of the checkpoint at Erez. The Erez crossing is one of the sites Hamas overran on October 7th, killing 1,200 Israelis and taking 240 others hostage. Hagari said it was the biggest tunnel Israeli forces have found near the border, without specifying whether it was used by Hamas for the October 7th attack. Generally, the tunnels shown to the media by the group, or by the Israeli military after their discovery, have been narrow and low, designed for single-file movement of gunmen on foot. The tunnel shown by Hagari had shafts plunging vertically downward that he said suggested it was part of a wider network. Hamas did not respond to a Reuters request for comment on the Israeli account. Since the October 7th attack, Israel has besieged Gaza and laid much of the Palestinian enclave to waste. Around 19,000 Palestinians have been killed, according to Gaza health officials, with thousands more suspected buried in the rubble of Israeli airstrikes.
Meanwhile, airstrikes in Gaza Strip have killed at least 100 people over the last 24 hours as Israel's leadership faces growing international pressure for a ceasefire and calls at home to resume hostage negotiations after the Israeli army shot and killed 3 men kidnapped by Hamas. The health ministry in the Hamas-run Palestinian territory said on Sunday that at least 90 people had been killed by Israeli bombardment in the Jabalia camp in the north of the Gaza Strip, and another 12 had died in bombings in the central city of Deir al-Balah, as the fighting was reported in several parts of Gaza. Drone footage that continues to show you the destruction of what is left inside the Gaza Strip. Now, the Palestinian Health Ministry reported that at least 5 Palestinians were killed on Sunday, this in an Israeli attack on Tulkarm in the occupied West Bank area. 2 individuals were shot dead by Israeli forces on the same day. The health ministry added that another Palestinian also died on Sunday after sustaining injuries in an Israeli attack in the West Bank city of Jenin just a few days ago. The Israeli military stated that it has been intensifying operations against Palestinian terrorist groups in the West Bank. And just on Thursday, Israel confirmed killing more than 10 people that it referred to as terrorists in the raids in Jenin, where several terrorist groups have a presence. And the Israeli military also released footage on Saturday, a footage that claimed to show its troops assaulting a tunnel shaft that was occupied by a Palestinian terrorist. In the video, soldiers can be seen shooting and throwing grenades at the opening of the ground. Now, the Israeli military stated that its forces had killed the terrorist that was hiding in the shaft and destroyed the tunnel. Well, more about how Israel is stepping up its bombardment right on the other side. Time for us to slip into a quick commercial break here. Don't go anywhere.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with the situation far better.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9+. Download now.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9+. Download now.
Hello everyone, Namaskar. I'm music composer Ricky Cage. 3-time Grammy Award winner and a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador. And you're watching me on First Person on News 9+.
This and more streaming now on the world's first news OTT, News 9+. Download now.
Delhi has the fastest growing metro network among G20 nations. From 6 stations in 2002, it today has 286 stations. Reliability, cleanliness and affordability have set the template for other Indian metros. The architect of this modern-day world-class marvel is E. Sridharan. Watch the extraordinary life of Metro Man E. Sridharan streaming now on News 9+. Download now.
Welcome back. You're watching News 9 Live. We're shifting our focus back to the West Asian conflict between Israel and Hamas, and we have some drone footage for you. Drone footage that shows thousands of Gazans queuing up for food in Rafah in southern Gaza. This video footage of Sunday, just this past weekend, as volunteers from the Gaza Emergency Relief prepared a giant stew for all those that have been displaced. Now, the UN World Food Programme has said that half of Gaza's population of the 2.3 million is currently starving as Israel's military assault on the southern part of the enclave expands and people are cut off from different kinds of supplies. Aid deliveries crossing into Gaza via the sole entry point on the Egyptian border are only a fraction of the pre-conflict levels, despite the surge in the needs and the humanitarian crisis that is constantly widening. As the NGOs distributed the bowls of food, aid trucks began to enter Gaza through the Kerem Shalom and the entire crossing on Sunday for the first time since the 7th of October. Meanwhile, Israel stepped up its bombardment of Gaza overnight and into Sunday after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu argued that the only way to secure the release of hostages was intense military pressure on the Hamas terrorist group. Take a look.
Israel stepped up its bombardment of Gaza overnight and into Sunday, Palestinians said, adding that dozens of people were killed. It comes after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu argued the only way to secure the release of hostages was intense military pressure on Hamas. The attacks also follow Friday talks between Israel's spy chief and the Prime Minister of Qatar, which mediated earlier hostage releases in return for a week-long ceasefire and the freeing of Palestinian prisoners. That's according to a source with knowledge of the matter. Residents and militants say Israeli attacks took place amid fierce fighting the length of the coastal enclave. Communications were also down for a fourth day, making it hard to reach the wounded. Hamas militants say they will not discuss freeing any more of those captured when they attacked southern Israel on October 7th. If Israel continues the war on Gaza, it unleashed in response. With no signs of compromise, violence has intensified. In Khan Yunis, injured Palestinians were rushed in ambulances and on donkey carts to Nasser Hospital after what they say was an Israeli airstrike on the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency's school. Where is safe, says this man, adding he's worried about getting killed while in the hospital. Israeli missile strikes also hit a house, killing at least 24 people and wounding dozens of others in the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza, Hamas Aqsa Radio said, citing the health ministry. Health officials were not available for immediate comment. Israel said it had operated against terrorist targets. Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, the frustrated families of hostages held in Gaza set up a campsite near Israel's defense ministry. They vowed to stay there until the government secures a deal with Hamas to release their loved ones.
It's important for me to be here today because we need to put more pressure on the government to remind them that the hostage situation must be ended with a deal, and the deal must be right now, because we don't have any more time to waste. We cannot wait for them to try to rescue them by army, with army forces. It needs to be with diplomatic deal, by a negotiation.
Around 19,000 Palestinians have been killed, according to Gaza health officials, and thousands buried in the rubble of Israeli airstrikes since October 7th. Israel says Hamas militants killed 1,200 people and captured 240 hostages in their surprise raid that day.
The heralding 2024. What's in store for all of us, the entire world, in the year 2024? Take a look at this. Republican frontrunner Donald Trump has declared plans for the largest deportation in American history if re-elected in 2024. Now, during a Reno rally, he labeled President Joe Biden a quote-unquote low IQ individual and the quote-unquote worst, most incompetent and most corrupt president in U.S. history. A day earlier, Trump in New Hampshire accused undocumented migrants of quote-unquote poisoning the blood of America, using language criticized as xenophobic and echoing the Nazi rhetoric. He emphasized this stance amid concerns about the record number of migrants attempting illegal U.S. border crossings.
Given the unprecedented millions of Biden illegal aliens who are invading our country, it is only common sense that when I'm re-elected, we will begin, and we have no choice, the largest deportation operation in American history. We have no. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party are incapable of solving any problem. There's not a problem they've been able to solve. Crooked Joe is a you know this. Did you ever hear this? Crooked Joe is a low IQ individual. And he is truly the worst, most incompetent, and most corrupt president in the history of our country. In fact, Jimmy Carter is very happy because he looks like that was a brilliant administration by comparison to what you have right now.
Well, the two are going to continue to exchange barbs in the run-up to the 2024 presidential elections. For all those netizens out there, it's going to get interesting as well, for all those videos and memes that are going to go viral as well. But months before the 2024 election, recent polls suggest former President Donald Trump leads President Joe Biden in key swing states such as Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Notably, Biden won these states in 2020, and Trump must flip some of them to secure his own victory. But despite Trump's apparent advantage, Biden faces a challenging task to enhance his entire standing. A CNN poll shows Trump leading by 5 points in Georgia, a state that Joe Biden won back in 2020. Another poll indicates Biden's policies are perceived negatively in Georgia and Michigan, with concerns about economic conditions. Meanwhile, Trump, maintaining strong GOP support, faces legal challenges without a significant drop in popularity, really. Meanwhile, Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, he has vowed to pardon all peaceful protesters involved in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Speaking at the Turning Point Action Conference, he criticized the incident, suggesting it appeared to be an intentional intelligence failure. Now, 538, a polling and analysis website, indicates Ramaswamy has 4% support among Republican primary voters, while Trump leads with approximately 63%.
And I think you got to ask yourself, why am I the only candidate in this race who can say certain things? That January 6th was the product of entrapment, that our money is being sent to persecute Christians from Ukraine to Armenia, something you're not supposed to talk about, to the fact that the climate change agenda is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate and everything to do with China.
Well, what's going to happen? We'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, from the United States, let's shift our focus to Serbia, where Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić declared victory in a snap parliamentary election on Sunday after pollsters projected his ruling Serbian Progressive Party was on track to an easy win. Now, Aleksandar Vučić said an alliance headed by SNS, which is Serbia Must Not Stop, would hold a majority in parliament, and there was already important work to do on the day after the election. And based on votes counted in a sample of polling stations, pollsters have predicted that the populist SNS won about 46.2% of votes, while the opposition Centre-Left Serbia Against Violence and its entire alliance is set to come second with around 23.2% votes. The preliminary vote suggested SNS will have a slim majority of at least 127 deputies, enough to rule alone, but it is expected to seek coalition partners to cement its dominance of the parliament.
Dakle, lista Srbija ne sme da stane, imaće svakako više od 127 mandata. Da li će biti 128, 129 ili 130? Ono što je rezultat ovih izbora, dakle, jedna lista, Srbija ne sme da stane, imaće apsolutnu većinu. I da kažem da mi već od sutra moramo da krenemo i da počnemo da se bavimo ozbiljnim poslom, jer smo, čini mi se, 2 meseca, ne mogu da kažem izgubili, jer je to deo jednog velikog i važnog demokratskog procesa, ali moramo da se posvetimo državi, napretku države i daljem napretku građana.
And in other developments, Portugal's Socialist Party has elected Pedro Nuno Santos as its new leader for the March 10th snap parliamentary elections. Now, this comes after Prime Minister Antonio Costa's resignation amid a corruption probe. Now, Santos is a 46-year-old former infrastructure minister who emphasizes inclusivity and a strong welfare state, while his main rival from the centre-right Social Democratic Party, Luis Montenegro, promising tax cuts to capitalize on potential challenges within the majority socialist administration. There is, meanwhile, the opinion polls that indicate a tight race, raising concerns about post-election deadlock and the potential rise of the populist party, Chega. What's going to happen in Portugal? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, some top global developments. A landmark national security trial for pro-democracy activist Jimmy Lai opened in Hong Kong this on Monday. All of this was happening amid tight security. The media tycoon faces possible life imprisonment on charges he colluded with foreign forces, including the United States. Here's a report.
A landmark national security trial for pro-democracy activist Jimmy Lai opened in Hong Kong on Monday amid tight security. The media tycoon faces life imprisonment on charges he colluded with foreign forces, including the United States. Lai, who has pleaded not guilty to all charges, was brought to the court in a navy blue prison van. Crowds lined up overnight to secure a spot in the courtroom. Among them was veteran Hong Kong Democrat Emily Lau.
I hope they will get, Jimmy and others will get a fair, open and just hearing.
Lai, the founder of now shuttered pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily, is one of the most prominent Hong Kong critics of China's Communist Party leadership. He has faced a salvo of litigation since a wave of pro-democracy protests in 2019. China's foreign ministry recently called Lai a, quote, notorious anti-China element, and he has been behind bars now for over 1,000 days. Western democracies will be watching the case closely, with the trial seen as a key test for Hong Kong's judicial independence and freedoms under the security law imposed by China in 2020. Britain on Sunday explicitly called on Hong Kong authorities to release Lai.
And moving on, China has reported 7 cases of the COVID subvariant JN.1, with officials stating its current prevalence to be as very low. While not ruling out its potential dominance, factors like imported cases were cited as well. JN.1 first appeared in Kerala in India on the 13th of December, raising concerns about the state's rising COVID cases. The Indian SARS-CoV-2 Genomics Consortium confirmed its presence as well. In the United States, the CDC estimates JN.1 now represents over 1/5 of all the cases, with potential increased transmissibility. Though the severity remains uncertain, reported symptoms include disabling fatigue and respiratory issues. Now, the CDC suggests heightened transmission risk during the winter months. Take a look at this. The JN.1 variant of COVID is acknowledged as a lineage of Omicron, specifically the BA.2.86 or the Perola, according to various reports. The World Health Organization recognizes it as a notable descendant lineage of Omicron variant, suggesting potential increased transmissibility or the ability to evade immunity altogether. Now, Perola's descendants have been reported in various countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, Iceland, Spain, Portugal, and the Netherlands, with detections in 38 countries, and the list also includes India. Now, it is being implicated that in recent surges, hospitalizations are being needed. And cutting across to Mexico, where a dozen people were killed in an attack at a holiday party in the central Mexican state of Guanajuato. Mexican authorities have also corroborated the same. Locals said that they heard gunshots and saw injured people running on the street. Police officers responded soon and arrived at the scene of the deadly attack. The attack took place at dawn in the town of Salvatierra, when an armed group opened fire on partygoers attending a posada, a traditional Mexican party held in the days leading up to Christmas, according to the local media. Now, the state's attorney general and its office said that 12 people had been killed without giving any more details. Guanajuato is home to a significant number of automotive and aeronautics factories, and it has in recent years become one of the most violent states in the country amid clashes between powerful drug trafficking groups. Meanwhile, shifting our focus and bringing you a story from the climate change segment, where Australian authorities on Sunday urged thousands of people in North Queensland to move to higher ground because of the danger of flooding from the torrential rains. Now, the flooding came with heavy rain from ex-tropical cyclone Jasper, which hit the region this week, leaving tens of thousands without power, forcing evacuations. Queensland authorities said major flooding was underway in some suburbs of Cairns, a tourist hub of around 170,000 people located around 1,700 kilometers north of the state capital, Brisbane. Australia's weather forecaster predicted dangerous and life-threatening flash floods in Cairns, a gateway to the Great Barrier Reef as well. And it also said that water levels later on Sunday could exceed a 1971 record. Well, that's all the time we have for you in this edition of Top Stories. Hoped you liked it. Meanwhile, coming up next is News 9's special documentary on how Pakistan is training women to act as intelligence operatives and trap influential Indians. Take a look at that snippet. Many thanks for watching. This is Kabir Naqvi signing off.
I recently received a friend request from Mahira Sharma. Now, we seem to have a lot of friends in common on social media, particularly from the military veterans community. But something about her didn't quite add up. So we decided to investigate. Now, honey traps as an espionage tool are nothing new. They've been around for centuries. But Pakistan's ISI, their spy agency, has been perfecting honey traps in the virtual space. Our story takes you inside Pakistan's honey trap machine.
Mahira Sharma, a young, good-looking woman in her 20s. Her Facebook profile said she was a clerk in a nationalized bank in Pune. Our editor's profile picture had an Air Force aircraft. He had several former military officers in his friends list. Mahira Sharma had 62 friends, all of them males and many of them serving and retired military and government officials. We began our investigation. We found 3 more Facebook accounts with the exact same profile picture and name. Another Facebook profile, Gauri Sharma, had the same work profile as Mahira. That confirmed our suspicion that both accounts were fake. We decided to dig further. We first called the bank. They confirmed that no one by this name worked there. We then approached 2 of their followers and asked them whether they personally knew these women. They said they had never met them. It was not clear why they had accepted the friend request.
Our investigation led us to a list of honey trappers trained in Pakistan. Pakistani intelligence operatives run these fake accounts. They have only one target: Indian men in uniform. These women are trained to speak in Indian dialects.
Indian military intelligence officials confirmed to us that Mahira Sharma was one of hundreds of fake profiles created by Pakistan's intelligence agency, the I.N.D.I.A. She was the bait for a honey trap.
The military, etc., we try to educate our people, but a lot of our journalists and a lot of our public professionals, etc., believe that they are not vulnerable, they have got nothing to hide. But what happens in something is, Mahira Sharma tries to approach me on LinkedIn, and if I find that she is connected to some famous editor whom I know, so my trust factor and the chance of me lowering the guard is very much there. So it is that one person, that one breach will lead to multiple other breaches. The trust factor is, oh, Mahira Sharma is friends with Sandeep Punditan, my friend. Okay, maybe she's, I take the first, and she says, Sandy said, I may not check back because Sandy is a big, busy man. So that's how it starts off.
जहाँ पे भी आपको लगेगा, उनको लगेगा कि there is a person who is susceptible to women, who's making a lot of women friends on the social media. That is where they will make a, spoof account and then start luring the person. I have also got in my Twitter account. I'm only on the Twitter handle, and suddenly, I have to literally report and block the particular handles. So the female will be there in a semi-nude. The beauty is, the AI works so well. How long have you looked at the photo? You just seen it and changed the screen. You've done a gaze. 2-second gaze, 3-second gaze, a minute gaze. Are you repetitively going back to that handle? Your weakness is known.
So the ISI is a professional intelligence agency, and since you said that their nation's motivation is, their raison d'etre for existing is to, seemingly defeat our nation and dress Kashmir, that is what they openly say, and they have created a vast infrastructure to defeat this nation. And being a professional organization, they look at multiple ways to infiltrate our nation, get military information, because we are a militarily superior power. So they run these operation, and the information age, it is but natural they will create, Mahira Sharmas and try to infiltrate.
Pradeep Kurulkar was the director of Pune-based Defence Research and Development Organization. The DRDO is India's premier military R&D organization developing crucial defense equipment, including strategic missiles. In June 2020, Kurulkar received a WhatsApp message from Zara Dasgupta. Zara claimed that she was a software engineer from UK. Then the video chats began. Zara began sending nude photographs and videos to Kurulkar. Soon, she began asking for top secret information on India's defense preparedness. Kurulkar passed data on the BrahMos cruise missile and test details of a yet to be revealed Agni-6 nuclear ballistic missile. The 58-year-old scientist was entrapped.
इस वक्त की बड़ी खबर, DRDO के डायरेक्टर प्रदीप कुरूलकर गिरफ्तार हो गए हैं। उन पर पाकिस्तान इंटेलिजेंस को इंफॉर्मेशन देने का आरोप लगा है।
Kurulkar was arrested by Indian police in May 2023. The woman who called herself Zara Dasgupta was operating from Pakistan, not the UK. There was another twist here. Kurulkar was convinced Zara was a real person. She had met him in Pune in December 2020. Police believe this yet to be identified woman was an imposter hired for the honey trap. The Zara Dasgupta Kurulkar was chatting with was a Pakistani intelligence operative based in either Karachi or Lahore. Pakistan's ISI runs an institute in Karachi to train women on how to honey trap Indians working at crucial government positions. Pradeep Kurulkar is their biggest catch till date.
Robin Sage experiment is a experiment done by an American security researcher called Thomas Ryan. Okay, 2009 he created a profile on LinkedIn and took the face from a pornographic website of a young lady and created a fake profile about her in a couple of in other social media. This saying she's a researcher who's worked in the US Navy and she's got 10 years experience, etc., etc. And immediately she started requesting people who had security clearance in the US military as well as the strategic community, and she managed to make a lot of friends over there. So, and he presented it later as a study, a very famous study, saying getting in bed with Robin Sage.
They identify the person who either has information or who has access to the information. It is not necessarily defense personnel only. So it's anywhere and everywhere. If India was making vaccines, you think people won't be interested what exactly they're doing there?
What people don't realize is security is weakest at the top. Security is usually very tight down below because people down below are, come under a security and a disciplinary regime. But when you go up the chain, no one enforces it to people at the top. That disciplinary regime and the security regime is not enforced at the top. And they usually have a public profile where it is much more easier to approach that person.
What is predominant in this honey trapping cases is that most of the victims, majority of the victims which have been even arrested by the intelligence agencies in the past 6 to 7 years, more than the honey trap, they have been the victims of a malware which was installed in their phones in disguise of a chatting app or a dating app. And once the mobile phone is compromised, their conversations across the days recorded, their photos are stolen, their documents are stolen. That reveals much more, and that is the most strategic damage a country faces.
If you're in a position, you have to understand that you are a strategic person when it comes to a country, and for that you have to have more awareness as compared to anybody else in terms of relying, in terms of sharing information directly, indirectly. And if something like that happens, I think rather than succumbing to their blackmail, because sooner or later you will be caught, best is to not put your country on somebody else's hand, but come out clean on it, and so that things can be solved at the earlier stage.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. This and more. Streaming on the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Hello and a very warm welcome to one and all. You're watching News 9. I'm Neha Bhan. Let's take a look at some of the top stories of this hour. We begin by telling you what's been happening at the Israel-Hamas war front.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers.